All right, we have a new portion today. We're learning about I don't understand your message. Professor Feinstein, you told. What is his surname? Professor Feinstein. I mentioned Professor Feinstein. I just don't remember mentioning him. Maybe, I don't know. Either I don't remember, or maybe you don't remember, or maybe maybe you didn't understand. Okay, here we go. You can remember who it is. I don't know exactly which rabbi you're referring to. Here we go, professor. Now we are learning the going out of Egypt. Here it is. Paro sent the people out. Vayehi. And it was Bashalach Paro when Paro sent out the people. Paro sent out the Jewish people. We're going to learn out in a minute that Ha'am, according to the Zohar, refers to what's called the Erev Rav. We're going to see about the Erev Rav just a minute. There were a lot of Egyptians that genuinely wanted to leave Egypt and join to the Jewish people. Why they wanted to leave Egypt and join to the Jewish people is a different thing, but they made a lot of trouble for the Jews. And they were the ones that were the instigators of the golden calf. And they were the ones who wanted to go back. They were always complaining, but nevertheless, they joined the Jews. Moses took them. We'll talk about this in a moment. Vayehi b'shalach Paro. Let's do the simple meaning. And it was when Paro sent the Jewish people out. Remember last week? We learned that there's going to be the plague of the firstborn, and Paro said, get out of here, leave. Paro evicted the Jews. Now they're out. V'lo nacham Elokim derech eretz Pelishtim. God did not let the Jews go through the land of Pelishtim. Why not? There's a lot of different explanations in this. We're going to see it in a moment. Pelishtim. Some people say Eretz Pelishtim is part of Israel. In any case, God did not let the Jews go through the land of Pelishtim, ki karovu, because it was too close to Egypt. Ki Amar Elokim, because God said, Pen, maybe, Yenachem Ha'am, the Jews will regret leaving Egypt when they see a war, V'shavu Mitzrayim, and they will go back to Egypt. Let's just do a couple more sentences, and then we'll see. Vayasev Elokim et ha'am derech hamidbar. So therefore, God took them around through the desert. The Jews through the desert. The Midbar Yam Suf, the desert of Yam Suf, which Rashi is going to explain. Yam Suf means the sea of reeds. V'chamushim alu b'nei Israel be'eretz Mitzrayim. And armed. The Jewish people are chamushim, usually means to have weapons. Alu b'nei Israel be'eretz Mitzrayim, the Jews went up from Egypt. Vayikach Moshe et atzmot Yosef imo, and Moshe also took the bones of Joseph. Yosef, remember Yosef, he was the one that brought all the Jews into Egypt. Yosef, when he died and all of his sons died, Levi was the last one. That's when the real hard work started. In any case, Yosef had died years before. Because Yosef made his sons swear, and also the rest of the Jewish people swear, that God will visit you and he will take you out of Egypt, and you should take up my bones with you. We're just going to learn those sentences first. Okay, they did not get up to the Yam Suf yet. They made it to a place which was called where is this? Vayisu Misukot. They went from a place called Sukkot, and they camped in Eitan in the end of the desert. And God went before them with a pillar of cloud to show them in the daytime, to show them the way, and in the nighttime, a pillar of fire to show them how to go day and night. Good, that's what it was. Now, soon they're going to get up to the sea, the YAM SUF, and then there's going to be this big drama is going to happen with the Jews. That's what we started learning in the morning, in the Sikha, in the morning, that when they got up to the YAM SUF, it was very intense. The Jewish people, some of them wanted to go back to Egypt. And some of them wanted to just commit suicide, jump into the sea. And some of them said, let's fight. And some of them said, let's pray. And all of them were wrong. We're going to see that we're going to learn the Sikha in the morning, if hopefully there isn't a power shortage like there was today. And we'll see. Ready? Vayihi b'shalach Paro, and it was when Paro sent the Jews. Rashi, Paro sent the Jews, and he did not allow them. Below Nahagim, he did not, what do you mean allow them? He did not conduct them, because they went wherever this cloud and the pillar of fire took them. So they didn't go. So God was telling them where to go. They didn't just go on their own. Everyone was all together. There were something like 3 million Jews altogether. There were 600,000 just males from the age of 20 and up. So, but they went all together, and they had camps everywhere, and each tribe was had its own camp, and that's how they traveled. Okay, lo nachat ha'am, he did not allow the Jews, he didn't direct the Jews to go anywhere. He didn't allow them to go into the land of Palestine, Kikarovu, because it was close. Vanuach, and it was easy to go back in that way to Egypt. And there's a lot of Midrash Agada that we're going to see some of it soon. What'll happen? Maybe when they saw a war, the Jews would see war and they would run away. Kagon. Now, they didn't really know how to fight. The Jews, they had been in Egypt all the time, and they were slaves. And all of a sudden, God just took them out. They didn't have to fight against anybody. So they were afraid that maybe when they saw war, like for instance, it says the Amalek, he came, and the Canaani. So if they go straight, so they'll know exactly how to go back, right? Exactly how to run away. And just think about it 1 second. What you want? The Jews would really go back? He says, of course, you saw that even what God did here didn't really help. When God took them on this long, convoluted way, nevertheless, they said, let's go back. They said, let's go back to Egypt as soon as there was any troubles. If the Jews go in a simple way, a straight way, how much more so? Everybody will know, I know the way back home. I'll go back to Egypt. Also, there was a good reason to go back to Egypt, because God had already destroyed the whole army, and he destroyed all the people, and everybody was afraid of the Jews. So why wander around in the desert for no reason? Why just go back to Egypt, and then the people are afraid of us. And not only that, we can do to them what they did to us. That's a good idea. It says maybe the Jews will think about going back to Egypt. Here's a nice one from the Or HaChaim. Watch this. Or HaChaim. It says, Vayihi b'shalach Paro. Right? That's how it starts out. When Paro sent out the people. It says the Or HaChaim. First of all, we have to understand. Lama Amar Lashon Tsar. Okay, so it says anytime that it starts off and says Vayehi means something bad. And it was Vayehi. It could have just said B'shalach Paro. You didn't even have to have the word Yehi. B'shalach Paro, when Vayehi, for instance, the Megillus Esther starts off. Vayehi b'yamei Achashverosh, it was. Vayehi means something bad is happening. Okay, what's bad about this? Paro is sending the Jews out of Egypt. That's pretty good. What's wrong with that? Why does it start off with the word Vayehi, which is Tsar? It should be Gila Varina. It should be that all the Jewish people are happy. They're all leaving Egypt, and they all had riches. They got out with riches. It says they took all the riches from Egypt, and then when they crossed the Yam Suf, that the soldiers brought all this riches. We'll see it. We'll see over here later. It says Vayasa at the Am. It says Moshe had to force them to leave after. Okay, in any case, when they're leaving Egypt, so they're all happy. They should be all happy. Why does it say Vayihi that they're sad? Oh, it also Lamakina Inyan Paro. Why does it attribute this to Paro? Velo Adona Masim. What do you mean Paro left them out of Egypt? Paro didn't. God took them out of Egypt. That's the whole basis of the Jewish people, that God took the Jews out of Egypt. Why does it say that Paro, he sent the Jews out of Egypt? That's not nice. It was Paro, he sent the Jews out of Egypt. Hakatuv Yagid Hasiba. The Torah is trying to tell us the reason why Hatzar, the Jewish people, were not happy. Why? Shenitztaru Yisrael Beredifas Paro, because they were sad because they knew that Paro was going to run after them. The Omar, and therefore the Torah tells us, Teda Sibas Adavar, the reason is Shalahotzi Hashem, because God did not take the Jews out of Egypt, Shalo Baratzon Shal Paro, against Paro's will. Kipa Oto, God forced him, Ad Shenitratze, until Paro was forced to send them. And Paro came and said, okay, leave my people, get out of here. So now that it was Paro that sent them out, so they were worried, Chashav Machshavos Lirodof Achareim, that maybe he'll say, what did I do? Why did I send these people out? That was a really dumb thing to do. I should have just held out a little bit longer. I said, you know what? It's not too late. I'm going to get them. If God would have taken them out, then Paro would have realized, I have no power. I can't do anything against God. If I run after the Jews, I'll get destroyed. But now that Paro was the one that sent them out, and so he could have said, wow, if I just would have held out a little bit longer, I could have held them in Egypt, right? I could have held them in Egypt. Maybe that was the last trick that they had, was the 10th plague of the killing of the firstborn. And now I'll keep them as slaves. And you see, they haven't got any power, the Jews. It's all these miracles that happen. Maybe that's the last one. So, but now that Paro, he sent them out because he was afraid maybe there's going to be another plague. So maybe he'll say, hey, why did I do that? Therefore, he might decide to run after them. Kasher Ber, like I'm going to explain. Ubezeh Goram Tsar Israel. And this caused pain to the Jewish people. V'gam la'atzmo Goram Ibud Lo Ula Umato. And also it was another tsar because Paro caused destruction to his own people. You know what's that? God should be happy. He says, nah, God is not happy when the non-Jews get destroyed. God doesn't like it when his creations get destroyed. Like it's brought also, in other words, it says that after the Jews went across the Yam Suf, so God said, and they sang, right? They sang, Az Yeshir, that's going to be in this week's Torah portion. And God said to the Jews, now you're singing songs. The Egyptians have been drowned, and now you're happy because you got sick. There's another explanation also, we'll see it, that God said, you're singing now, Jews, when I took you across, you should have sang before. When I told you were going to get out, you didn't believe in me, you had to see it. But in any case, here the Or HaChaim is saying that God doesn't like to destroy any of his creations. And Paro, if he would have just stayed back home and not run after the Jews, as he would have saved some of his people, his army. Ukeneged calls that's why it says Vayihi, it's Tsar. The Jewish people they felt bad because they knew that Paro was going to run after them. And the Egyptians, they in the end had a bad end because Paro ran after them. Umi Garam calls who B'Shalach Paro, that Paro sent. That if Paro would have been forced to send them out, then he wouldn't have run after them because he knew that God was stronger. Allah, therefore, Eno Hatato, his eyes fooled him. But he thought that the whole thing depends on me. I sent them out so I can get them back. Here he gives another answer, Ode, another answer. Maybe we can say it like this in the Zohar. It says, Ki barach ha'am. What does it say over here? When Paro sent the Am, the people. In the Zohar, it says that whenever it says Am, all the time that anywhere that the Jewish people are called the people, Yermoz, it hints at the Erev Rav. Mixed multitude, they're called. The mixed multitude. The mixed multitude were Egyptians that decided that the Jews were on the winning side. They wanted to join with them. Therefore, Timsa be'inyan zeh lifamim, sometimes they're called Ha'am, and sometimes they're called Bnei Yisrael. When it says Bnei Yisrael, it's referring to the Jews. When it says Bnei Am, Ha'am, it's referring to these converts that they weren't really 100% sincere, that they did it because they were simply afraid. And you can see, like it says, V'chamushim el Bnei Yisrael, that one, sometimes it says that the Jewish people, they took arms, they took weapons. Harizem mara be'etzbo ki am, ha'am are not the Jews. And it says, Hashchatas Yisrael, that the whole reason that the Jewish people did make mistakes in the desert was because of them. They said, they were the ones that said, let's go back to Egypt and etc. They said, let's make idols and let's worship them with a golden calf. That's why it says, Vayehi. That's why it says, Vayehi Tsar Gadol is big power, big pain to Sonea, means to the Jewish people. Okay, here he says another thing I want to make a look. Here he says, B'shalach Paro et Am. So it ends up that according to this explanation, who did Paro send out? God sent out the Jews. Who sent out this Erev Rav with them, this mixed multitude that made so much trouble? Paro did. That's what it means, B'shalach Paro et Am. Paro, he sent out the mixed multitude. What does it mean, the Erev Rav? Paro wanted to get rid of them. V'lo haya borachu, God would not have taken them out. Ki lo ba Elohim l'kachas lo ela goy gadol. All God wanted to do was take out the Jews. Nachlato, his portion, the sons of Yisrael. As imkin, why? If so, why did this mixed multitude go out? Paro got rid of them. Why did Paro get rid of the Jews? Why? Tamo, the reason was to force the Jews to return back to Egypt. He put in, what do they call the fifth column? He put in these traitors in their midst, and they always found a way to cling to the Jews, and it caused tremendous pain to the Jews. In this way, we can understand why it says, no, Nacham Elokim. That's why God did not allow them, because he knew that the Am, this mixed multitude was with them, and that they were just waiting for an opportunity to return back to Egypt. That's what it means. Ki korov hu, they were very close to make the Jews sin and cause bad to the Jews. And what? That namely, Vav, that's what he did. Okay, that's one way. Let's just look at a couple of other here. We'll see if we have time to do this. This is very interesting. The Sforno, it says, Vayehi b'shalach Paro, and God did not let them go through the land of the Pelishtim. It says, even though the original intention of God was to take the Jews, Lahar Sinai, directly to Mount Sinai and receive the Torah. And from there, they would go to the land of Israel. Like it says, V'lakachti etchem li la'am. God said, I have taken you to me for a people, and I will bring you to the land. So that was supposed to be a couple, maybe 1 day, 2 days or something. They could have gone, got the Torah, right? Let's say Moshe had to go up in the Torah for. Okay, are you all right? Good. I don't know what got turned off here. Yes. Okay. I don't. We just had another sort of power shortage, but I hope it didn't turn off. I don't know what to say. Okay. We were now on this forno. Here we are. Here we go. So God really wanted to take them just directly to get the Torah. And let's say that would take a couple of months, however long. They had to be 3 days before they got the Torah, but they would have gotten the Torah and gone immediately into the land of Israel. That was the original intention. But nevertheless, the reason that now he took them through this YAM SUF, that this is not which is a straight way, was in order to drown Paro and his army. Al derech meshacheni elecha el nachal Kishon et Sisro. The same thing that God did, we'll see later on in Parshas Chukas, that God did the same thing with, but the way he did with Sisro in the time of Devorah, and you see in the Emori also, he did the same thing. Therefore, the short way was through the land of Pelishtim. That's what he should have done. But what? God didn't want to take them through this short way because it was near. Namely what? And this was very near to Egypt. And Ovri derech Sham, umagirim misham liYisrael, misham leMitzrayim, uMitzrim l'Sham. Because this way was close to Egypt, and they would go through this way. So therefore, when the Jews would hear that Paro, right, it was close to Egypt. So when the Jews would hear, when they understood that Paro was preparing to run after them, so what says when the Jews saw war? When the Jews saw that Paro was making a war with them, so it could be that they'll be afraid of going because they'd never fought a battle before. They might run back home. God really wanted to drown the Egyptians. That's what he wanted. And the shortest way to do it was here. But they was afraid that as soon as the Jews saw the Egyptians running after them, that the Jews would just give up. They would surrender and they would run back. So he wouldn't drown the Egyptians. So therefore he had to take them around a long way so that the Jews would not automatically return back to Egypt when the Egyptians were going after them, running after them. Another explanation. Here's the last explanation we'll do, and we'll go to the next sentence. Next one. Okay, so it says, God took the Jews out of Egypt, and he did not take them to through the land of the Pelishtim. So he says, why ki karovu? Because it was near. What was it was near the Jews. The land of Pelishtim was near to Egypt. They would go back, right? Well, Dad Zakeni doesn't exactly interpret it that way. He said he didn't take them to the land of Pelishtim, ki karov, because it is near. Who's near? The Jewish people are near to Hashem. Israel am karovo, because the Jewish people are called the nation which is close to God. Therefore, he didn't let them go in a normal way. God did not want to take them in a normal, straight way. He wanted to take them this because they're his people that he loves. Right? In other words, he wanted that according to the reasons we said before, he wants to drown the Egyptians. He doesn't want the Jews to run back. He doesn't. Or we can say, maybe we can say that, like usually is, that the Pelishtim, Eretz Pelishtim, is near to Egypt. Like it says, Mitzrayim, Ula Mitzrayim Yolad. It's one of the sons of Mitzrayim. Sheyetzumi some Pelishtim. That maybe the people Yilchamu imahem al derech asher borchu mitachat yad Mitzrayim kroveim. Maybe they would run back to Egypt, and they would be Yashivam Mitzrayim. Maybe the police team, they would come out and they would take the Jews back to Egypt because the police teams, they were close. Says Rav David, Zikna Shel Rav Moshe, that the land of Palestine wasn't a separate country. The land of Palestine was part of Israel. Where'd you get this idea that the land of Palestine is part of Israel? Because very simple. We don't find that Yitzchak ever left the land of Israel. And it said that Yitzchak lived in the land of Palestine. Shneimar Vayagar Yitzchak beGerar. It says that he lived in Gerar. There's Palestine. Rav Moshe said that there was like a strip that came out of the land of Palestine, and it goes into the land of Israel. And velo shahayata Eretz Yisrael ba'atzmo. So he says, well, maybe we can explain it like this. How did Yitzchak live in the land of Palestine when it says that he never left Israel? So I said, well, maybe we can say that the land of Palestine wasn't really part of Israel, but there was one little like tongue, one little road or something that went from there into Israel, and that was where Yitzchak lived. Ketuv Palestine. It calls it the land of Palestine. Or maybe we can say like this, that Kikarov Hu, it was, okay, he said it was near She Yirshu Kananim et Oretz. It says Dor Revi Shuvuhena. It says that maybe the Canaanim would take over the land. What does it mean? There were already Canaanim that were living there. Let's just do this one here. It says, therefore, the Jews had been in Egypt, but they weren't there really for 4 complete generations. That's what this says. So therefore, 4 complete generations. Because they weren't there 4 complete generations, so therefore they had not really truly finished their time. The Jews were supposed to be in Egypt. According to some opinions, it says that the Jews were supposed to be in Egypt for 400 years. In Egypt, 400 years. But it says God v'chishev et hakates, that God made the end earlier. He took away 190 years. So therefore, from the 400 years, the Jews only had to serve 210 years in Egypt. Okay, but nevertheless, it says that 4 generations they had to be. Now, there's different opinions what a generation is, but let's say 1 generation, according to that, would be 100 years, and they weren't there for 100 years. And so therefore, what happened? God decided somehow or other he would fix this whole calculation up, and he would make them wander around 40 years in the desert. So therefore, he wanted them to wander around in the desert in order that he could fill up somehow or other these years that are missing. Also, God said, if I take them straight now, then what's going to happen? Every Jew will grab on to his place in land, and they won't learn Torah. Everybody, the Jews are going to get the Torah. Immediately, I'll take them into the land of Israel. They'll never sit and learn the Torah. The Jews are going to have to fight battles. They're going to have to work on the land. And they won't even know how to learn the Torah. So what am I going to do? I'll take them 40 years in the desert, and I'll give them man, and they'll drink this miracle of water, and it'll be part of their bodies, and that'll change them. Okay, that's we have to figure out how that works in with the spies. The spies didn't want to go in, and God really wanted them to go in. But here it says not. Here's another here's another explanation. This is all supposed to be kikarovu. God did not want to take them straight. He wanted them to go in a crooked way. According to this, he says he wanted to go crooked way was the 40 years. That's what he wanted them to go, wander around. Also, when the Canaanim they heard that the people that lived in Canaan would hear that the Jews left Egypt and that they were going to come immediately and take over the land, they would say, Aksha boim aleinu v'notli miyadenu et oretz. That the Canaani, the people who lived in Canaan, they would say, God, the Jewish people are getting out of Egypt. They decimated Egypt. Egypt ruled the whole world. So for sure they're gonna decimate us. So what do the Canaanim do? They say, all of our work that we worked, we built houses, we did everything, we made crops, and Jews are gonna take the whole thing away. So what do? They'll stand up and they'll destroy the land. Right? They'll destroy. They don't want it to fall into the hands of the Jews. So God said, "I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I promised to Abraham that I'm going to take them into a land that's filled with all sorts of good." That was at the covenant between the pieces, Brit Bein HaBetorim. So what will I do? I'll tell you like this. The Jews got out of Egypt, right? As soon as the Canaanim hear it, they figure the Jews are going to take over their land, so they'll destroy their whole land. They'll destroy everything. No, they destroy everything. They wait for a week, a month, a year, 2 years. As soon as they see that the Jews are not coming there immediately, so then they'll come up, then they'll figure out maybe the Jews are not even going to come here. And they'll fix up everything that they wrecked. That's when it says, Ani yasarti etchem b'midbar l'chazek et zarotechem, that I made you go through the desert in order to strengthen you. Okay, let's just do one more over here, because I see that God took the people, this is the Jewish people, right, through the desert, and Chamushim, the Jewish people went Chamushim Eretz Mitzrayim. They went up Chamushim. What is Chamushim? They went up with weapons. Why did they go out with weapons? Well, first of all, when they left Egypt, so they took all these treasures from the Egyptians, they could have taken weapons also. Weapons, they could have taken weapons. So let's look at Rashi. It says, Hesivam min haderech, that God, vayasev means he detoured them from a straight way, and he took them in a crooked way, and he took them Yam Suf, through this place, the desert of Yam Suf. What's Yam Suf? How do they translate it? The desert of the Red Sea. How in the world they got red from this word, Suf, I don't know, but in any case, Yam Suf. Rashi says, Kamo li Yam Suf. He took them through the desert to Yam Suf, this place of, because there is no desert of Yam Suf. The soul, what is a Suf? Suf is a marsh. Shegadlim bo kanim, that they grow in it reeds. Kamo v'tasem basuf. They put him in the marsh. Kanev suf kamlo, and the word suf also means reeds. So it's the sea of reeds, or the sea of a marsh, whatever. Because the Jews went out chamushim. What does it mean, chamushim? In chamushim el mezuyanim. They went out with weapons. Why did they go out with weapons? Here, let's look and see over here. Lefisha is birum midbar, going them through the desert. They had to go with weapons. Why? Because if he would take them through if the Jews would have been traveling through settled places, as they wouldn't have to be armed. But now a person, when he goes from one place to another place, and he's I'm saying, what if they were going through a settled places, they wouldn't have to worry. The people already knew that Egypt was decimated. They would be afraid. But now when they're going into a desert, so you have to be ready for everything. But Katuv Zeh, this is only in order just to, how do you say, be logical. The Sovereign Ozen. Shalot Tomar, don't say, 1 second, we see later on that the Jews went out and they made a war with Amalek, and they made a war with Sichon and Og. Where did they get the weapons? So therefore it tells you that the Jews got weapons here. Yes, that's what it says. Atem ta'avru chamushim. Okay, v'tein targum onkelos mizarizin. He says, "Vayirak et chanichav," that he took his, they took them out armed, quickly with arm. Mizarizim, mazrizin. He says, "Vayirak" means that he with Abraham when he went and made the war against the 4 kings. It says, "Vazariz," he took them out quickly. And, okay, so we have 2 explanations up to now. Chamushim means that they were with weapons, and he says also Zurizim means that they went out quickly, like positively. They were happy to go out. Another explanation is Davar acher chamushim michumashim, 1/5. Echad michamisha. Yatsu, 1 out of 50. There's a midrash that says that it was 1 out of 50, it was 1 out of 500, it was 1 out of 5,000. Anyway, 1 out of 5 left Egypt. 4 portions they died in the darkness. Let's just have a look here at the Ramban. He says, Chamushim, this is to tell you that even though that God took them through the desert, but nevertheless they were still afraid that the Pelishtim would come through the city. So the Ramban says exactly the opposite of what Rashi said. Rashi said that if they were going through cities, they wouldn't have any worries. But now they're going through a desert, they do. The Ramban says the opposite. If they were going through cities, then they had people that they would have to fight. But through the desert, there was nobody. It says, nevertheless, even though they went through the desert and there were no people around, nevertheless, the people that were in the cities nearby, they were armed and they would go out to war. Right. Therefore, the people from the nearby cities, they would come out to do war. Listen, okay. But Yeshomim, some people say that the Torah is telling that they went out with Yad Ramah, that the Jewish people went out victorious, and they thought this is it, that they were going to be totally redeemed, they were going to be totally free. Therefore, they didn't go out like slaves that were running away. They went out like soldiers. They were very happy, they were powerful, they were going out. Here's V'chamushim. It says maybe why were they have arms? It says God gave them weapons. They took weapons from the Egyptians when they left, because if it wasn't for the fact that they had weapons, then it wouldn't help what God took them through this crooked, weird way through the desert. Because in any case, they'd say, hey, we haven't got any weapons. If anybody comes to attack us, for sure we're going to run away. Right? They would go back to Egypt because they haven't got any weapons to make any war. They would, so therefore it says Chamushim Alu. What does it mean? That in addition to the reason that God took them around so that they wouldn't go back, also God gave them weapons so that they wouldn't go back to. Yeah. Right. That's so. The Sforno says the same thing, but he says it in a different way. The Orach Chaim says that the fact that God took them around in this crooked way wasn't enough. That He had to give them weapons, and the Sforno says sort of the opposite. The fact that they had all these weapons, all these weapons that they had, nevertheless, even though that they had weapons, it still wasn't enough to make them sure of themselves so that they wouldn't go back to Egypt. Because all of the weapons, they wouldn't, despite all the weapons, they wouldn't have the courage to fight against the Egyptians, and because they never had fought before in their lives. So therefore, the Jews had to have weapons and also be taken in a roundabout way, and it didn't help. In the end, they wanted to go back anyway. Any opportunity that they had, the Jews were always saying, let's go back, let's leave. What it was said before, what we said before was the ones who always were instigating, putting these doubts in, this was the Erev Rav. This was the mixed multitude. They were the ones that made trouble, as we're going to talk about, God willing, more tomorrow. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow, 8:15. And tonight there will be a class. Yes, God willing.